I'm not going anywhere. I got my shoes
I mean,
off.
I've been.
Like my kids were here, and the first thing they do is take their shoes off.
I thought about it, but my boots are on. And
Well, I was wearing flip flops, so I was like, you know what? My shoes were soaked from yesterday, so I was like,
yeah. I almost left my flip flops on that I had on today for work, but I decided to put on sneakers to be a little bit more civilized.
I just want to feel grounded with this.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, this is the first time that I've ever been in a podcast studio before, so I felt like I wanted to, be presentable and not have my disgusting feet hanging out. If I was, hanging out.
Well, what is
as somebody across from me
I rub
very
my
well
disgusting ass on your carpet? Well, my feet are very nice and clean. I washed them this
Did you
morning.
get your laundry machines fixed?
Finally, yes.
Good.
So my underwear.
Listeners, those voices you've all definitely heard on. Well, I mean, if you've listened for a while, have heard on the show before. Me and Matt were talking earlier. Matt, I think, is the most returning person on the show.
I think this is my 4th time. If we include the arm wrestling things, definitely.
Oh, Jesus.
At least.
Maybe more than that.
Do you count Bartok?
I was just counting Inebri-art, but I don't even know.
This might be 3 because there's me and Jeff.
If you count Bartok, Jeff Nardone, hands down, is more than anyone else because he just kind of shows up.
Hey, here's alcohol.
But it is the gang from America's Hometown Horror.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Mike, Andrew, and Matt.
Hello.
Hi.
What's going on?
I think this is your first time on as America's Hometown Horror.
I think so.
That's for sure.
Because
Yeah.
I'm new.
Oh, yeah.
Technically new.
It's like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. So the last time that we were on as a show was right after we started, which was in January of 2020. Which feels like it might have been a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And I remember...
We didn't... Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
We didn't do the old jail episode? Was that an episode?
Oh, we did do the old jail episode.
That was Old
Oh,
Yeah, not
okay,
an
that was
Inebri-art.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I found you guys on Twitter when I was supposed to be working. And
That was good.
It was like, hey, you guys are from Plymouth. You guys should come on the show.
Absolutely.
At Mayflower Brewery, because why not?
Yes.
And how many episodes are you guys in now?
So we are into the 220s now.
They said 226. You
226, I
for some
believe.
reason pulled it
yeah,
up.
we just put up episode 226, I believe. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to trust Andrew on that. And it's just funny because I remember the biggest piece of advice that you gave us when we were we were DMing when it was Twitter and not X.
Yeah.
And when we met up to record,
It's X-Chicken now,
Yeah.
Mike.
And it was X-Chicken.
That's gonna kill
And when we
us.
came on the show, you just pretty much said, if you want to do this, don't succumb to pod fade. That's the biggest mistake that podcasts make. And I feel like, honestly, that's the biggest thing that we've tried to do is, just consistently put out new episodes, new content. I feel like I speak for all of us here and guys chime in, but we legitimately actually enjoy getting together each week and having a couple drinks, sometimes too many drinks, admittedly, and sitting down, talking horror, having a blast. We actually enjoy it. And the fact that people listen to us 4 years later is still kind of mind-boggling to me,
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun.
We set out once a week we were going to do it, and I'm pretty sure we're probably pretty damn close to once a week over those 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, we've missed a few weeks here and there, scheduling conflicts, that type of thing, but I don't think that there's ever been a period where we've missed 2 weeks in a row, that type of thing. No.
That shit happens. I know Inebri-art's gone dark twice. Once in the beginning of COVID, just because I'm I don't even know what the fuck's going on. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I don't know. At the time we weren't even recording through Zoom, so I was insisting. I'm no, you have to be here in order for. Oh.
Is that better, people? I was on mute.
Edgar, your skin's hanging off.
You were on.
Yeah, because I added a fourth mic and I didn't unmute it. So look at how much louder I am. Sorry, Fish, who had to edit that shit.
Just
So
Poor fish.
so it got recorded, but
I was probably just picked up by his mic. And
I mean, like I said,
why
I
am
was
so
hoping
quiet?
Fish would be here tonight. I see Fish infrequently, and I do enjoy seeing him quite
I
a
thought
bit.
it would have just been me muted for putting my disgusting feet on your nice.
No. I'm like, why am I so silent, and that now I'm like probably blowing everyone's eardrums out. Sorry about that. I mean, it's only been like 405 episodes. What do I know?
405. By the way,
something like that. Something.
congratulations, by the way.
Thank
You just
you,
hit
thank you.
400 episodes. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I know you. That's a pretty cool opportunity to have your kids interview you.
Yeah,
on the
that
show.
was
sick.
Pretty
super
awesome.
Fun.
Yeah.
They were a blast. But the nice thing is like having that many. Even now, if we miss a week, we'll put up like a really old episode, and we call them barrel aged, and we just put them out and be like, "Hey,
Ooh, I like
in case
that.
you missed this
Barrel
one,
aged.
Barrel aged.
You know? We have a brand.
Do you find yourself like forgetting some of the episodes that you've recorded? Because I know like even in the 220s, there'll be times, again, booze-soaked episodes where we'll be talking about a particular movie, and Andrew or Matt or Kat, when she's on, will be like, wait, have we talked about that movie? And I've been like, well, yeah, we have, or no, we haven't. Like, I don't remember that. But I feel like it's just, you do it every week, and you kind of forget some of the things you talk about from time to time, you know?
Well, with watch lists and stuff, and like kind of like drafts, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like not necessarily full in-depth episodes, but there's been so many times we've talked about certain movies, and when we do drafts too, it's getting harder to find more topics to draft, and then it's also like when we get that topic, we're like, all right, let's.
You mean like the horror version of like an NFL draft?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
we should probably tell a little bit
I was
about
gonna say just in case anyone listening.
what we do, right?
I got taken in by the army. It's like,
Yeah. So we're all the co-hosts of America's Hometown Horror Podcast, weekly podcast, Plymouth-based horror podcast. We do all things horror, movies, TV, haunted attractions, pretty much anything you can think of. And one of our favorite things to do is those horror-style fantasy drafts. So if you're a fan of like fantasy football, fantasy baseball, whatever sport you may play, you know, we do those from time to time where we're drafting particular topics. The most recent one we did was last week, and we did what did we do?
under
under
50% on Rotten
Yes,
Tomatoes.
yeah.
favorite
So
movies.
we did a
Guilty pleasures.
quote unquote
Yeah.
rotten horror draft. So anything so Rotten Tomatoes considers something rotten if it's under 60%. We went lower than that. We went under 50%, and we drafted movies that had a critic score of under 49% or lower. But those are, I think, some of the most fun episodes that we do because it just gives us the opportunity to talk about a lot of different movies, and we're not focusing on one specific topic for however long we're recording. I really like those. So, yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's myself, Matt, and Andrew. My wife, Kat, does come on periodically. She's on permanent scholarship on our podcast. Whenever she feels like bopping in, when she has the time that allows, she comes on. So it's a lot of fun. And I think if we didn't enjoy doing it, we really wouldn't be doing it anymore. And
200 episodes in.
Yeah.
You obviously like it.
of course. And so, Matt, you've been on for like, when was your first episode? We did Terrifier, right?
It was at least
Art the
20
Clown.
You're
former
May
Inebri-art
of
podcast guest.
David
Two?
Howard Thornton.
Has it been that long?
We're-
It's almost been. So
I
we're
would
over
say-
2 years.
No, because it was.
It wasn't 2023, was it?
It might have been 2021 because I think I had to take a break when I had Layla.
Oh, I think you. I
thought
think
it was
you.
2022.
I think you had Layla when you first came on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It was
yeah,
in the
Everything.
spring. It's definitely in the.
It was definitely in the spring.
20. I think it was 2022.
It had to have
Because
been
that's 2 years
2022.
now. So that's
Maybe
half the time almost.
Maybe we
well,
took a break
almost
when
2
me and
years.
Sarah
Yeah.
got
No,
married
yeah.
then.
but I remember like we had you on as a guest a few times because we met you socially before, and we knew that you had a big horror background. It's tattooed all over your legs. So and we had you on as a guest a few times, and then we brought you on as a permanent member, which obviously was not the case when we first recorded with you, Andy, back 4 years ago. So
One of the things
Yeah.
too, like since speaking of drafts and stuff, and like you guys brought me on for some bangers. Like you guys brought me on for Halloween, for The Exorcist, Misery. We did like a really fun like South Park episode where we talked about all the things that South Park parodied.
that was a really
Oh,
fun.
that sounds fun, yeah.
The horror of South Park, we called it. That was a really good.
That was a good
Yeah.
one. When people are like, "Oh, like what are some good episodes to dive into?" I'm like, any of them's cool, but I was like, definitely check out when we did the decades drafts.
Yeah,
Those were
fun.
my favorite. Those were a lot of fun. We took I think from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and the
Yeah.
2010s.
Yep.
Me, Andrew, and Mike drafted our top 5 probably.
I think we did 5 each.
5 each. Yeah.
from each decade, and like that covered a shit. ton
Kat
of
didn't
ground.
do any of those.
Kat did the 90s
She
draft.
did the '90s one.
So
Okay.
she admittedly was like, I have nothing to contribute to the 70s or the 80s. I'll do the 90s and the 2000s drafts. And I think she was on both of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, because we did a March Madness type month, and we
Yep.
did drafts the entire month.
which
that
was a
time.
blast. I think we should do that every March. To
Yeah,
be
that
honest.
was
Although
fun.
it's tougher to come up with drafts now. But
Yeah.
back to the initial point. Yeah, we do talk about a lot of the same movies multiple
Yeah, we
times
try to
through
switch them up.
drafts and that. So when we do these drafts, like you said, we try to like. I'm like, oh well, I would obviously pick this movie in this draft, but I've already talked about it 8,000 times. I'm going to try and pick something different. So
Yeah.
There's been a couple of times we've omitted movies too.
yep.
Like we're like in the 70s, we're like, all right, like we did that draft. We're like, no Exorcist, no Texas Chainsaw, like.
Because you want to make it interesting. You don't want everyone to get the
And
same.
we'd already
yeah.
like those are already covered on the show.
Yeah.
So and it's I like bringing new movies to the conversation. My whole thing this year has been going into the more brutal movies.
Yeah.
To this guy's
To,
mostly
to-
Mike's
to-
dismay.
Well, I mean, okay. I
I
mean,
made him watch Cannibal Holocaust a couple weeks ago.
Oof.
It
Yeah.
was
Woof indeed.
FEMA's gonna love Mike. So he was.
Oh, you mean PETA? PETA.
I don't think
yeah,
Mike
yeah,
hated
yeah.
that movie as much as he hated Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
No, I think he hated.
No,
it.
I hated Cannibal Holocaust
Worse?
more. Yeah,
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Henry
mean,
yeah.
but again, as I said on both the episodes, you can go back and listen to them. And you've said it before, Matt, too. Like, sometimes you need to be reminded about how bad the world actually is. Not that these types of things are happening in the world all the time, but
Yeah.
sometimes you need to be reminded about how, fucked up people are and how
Sure.
fucked up the world
It's
is.
easier to watch bad things happen to movie stars.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
Than
Yeah.
the news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
But to answer your question, frequently I will see an old episode title, and our titles are just like musician so and so or writer such and such, and it'll just be like someone's name, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? And then I'll read the description. I'll be like, yeah, still don't know who the fuck that is, and I'll have to go back and listen and be like, oh yeah, this is the guy from this play. Like, it all blurs together so much.
The guy with the place with the thing.
Which
Yep.
is understandable.
Oh, my God.
400 episodes
Yeah.
in. I
Plus-
don't even remember what I ate like yesterday. Like I can't keep track
Well,
of
plus
anything.
400
forgot it
episodes
was
of
Wednesday.
Inebri-art, right?
I did too.
Yeah.
Plus you do Bar Talk, plus you do Old
Yeah.
Colony.
It's
so
like
it's like,
over 700 episodes collectively.
That's crazy.
God damn,
How
dude.
many days a week do you record?
I'd say probably on average 1 or 2.
Okay, that's
Because like
actually
when we
less than I
do
thought.
Bar Talk, we'll record essentially like once a month,
Okay.
and we'll record 2 at a time. Old Colony Cast is pretty much the same way, and then Inebri-art is more often, but it's also like less time. So like when we record Old Colony or Bar Talk, it's usually like a 3-hour stretch,
Wow. Okay.
just because you're recording 2 episodes and you got to take
Yeah.
a break. And but with Inebri-art, it's literally like 45 minutes done.
we clean up with about a 2-hour tops ordeal usually.
tops. I mean, that's if we're lubed up. Sometimes we can go 2 hours if we're really rambling.
It depends on the movie and the
Yeah.
its drafts will get us to 2 hours. That's
Our
about it.
our top 10 episodes at the end of the year.
That's an
those-
event.
Those are fun. Those are those are. I look forward to that every year. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, bringing Matt on has, kind of gave us a little bit of a, I don't want to say like reinvigorating the podcast, but it definitely, like, Matt brought a very good, like, horror knowledge to the show. That was awesome. Just to bring another horror fan onto the show was fantastic, and it was great. And
And he had some podcast experience.
exactly, yeah,
This is
that's
the
always great.
second horror podcast you've been a part of.
Yeah, me and Jeff Weber had
Yeah.
our little stint. We had a handful of episodes, and it just our schedules conflicted so much.
And I mean,
So-
and that's one of those like you mentioned pod fade, and it's not even an intentional thing. It's just usually after I always say it's episode 27. And it's just like something happens around that time where you're just like, oh, I have this thing, and we'll take a break for a week, and then 1 week becomes 2 weeks, and 2 weeks becomes 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and it's not intentional, but it just kind of all fizzles out at that
Yeah.
point.
I think it's helpful having the more people on a podcast is definitely helpful because you help maintain that same vigor that because when he came on it was getting a little dull. I was getting a little bit like, okay, now this is kind of a chore, but then Matt came in and he had like a fresh perspective, and also Matt has a completely different
Yeah.
style of horror movies that he loves, which I think is what makes our podcast really good. Is we all four of us, and Kat included, all have completely different tastes in movies, so it makes every conversation about movies that much more interesting, because it's never like, it's very rare where all four of us are like, that movie's fucking awesome, we love that movie, or this movie sucks. It's usually a lot of differing opinions, which I think is nice.
Yeah.
I like having, that was another reason I wanted to do the more brutal movies this year, is because I knew they weren't all going to fly. I was like, we need to get some good conversation and good, like, kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
Not necessarily debating, but, like, exchange of different perspective and idea, which obviously, like, Cannibal Holocaust was, that's a harsh one. And I knew that was going to be a rough one, but I already promised these guys that I'm going to give them a nice lob for my next pick.
Oh, of course.
After that. I went a few in a row that were like, we did Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yep.
Right before that, and then Cannibal Holocaust. I'm like, all right, I can give these guys.
And then
a
you had
break.
House that Jack built somewhere.
House that
next to
Jack built was pretty. That was like.
See,
one
I
of the first
actually
ones,
really
yeah.
that movie I didn't have a problem with. I really liked a lot. Like, yeah, it's a really fucked up movie.
So you just kind of take turns in like picking runs of movies?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah,
or
we
just
have like
one,
an order.
Yeah.
We just
We do a
rotate.
rotation. Pretty much, we just each week we we've started doing recently. At the end of an episode, we'll tease what we're going to do the following week, where we're all picking. And I think if you look at our episode history, you can see that like there's a lot of differing tastes here. Like, so like I think I said on, it might have been the Henry episode or one of the other ones that we did, where it was pretty much like we did Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and then I picked The Relic, and then Andrew, you picked
In The Relic, I wouldn't even call a horror movie.
Oh, really?
I don't find it
a
as
monster
It's
movie.
a giant monster
Yeah,
movie.
Well, I suppose it's true. Yeah, I guess
A lot of decapitations.
Yeah.
Everybody gets decapitated.
To me,
in
it
that
just
movie.
feels like more like an action thriller.
And so you said, I remember you commented.
I saw that in the
You
movie
saw it
theater.
in the theaters. That's,
And that was like the
God bless you, man.
first
That's
like
awesome.
CGI movie.
God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you, indeed.
Dude, that was the first CGI movie I saw in the theaters. Like that was
Yeah, it
like
was one of the first
cutting
big-
edge
yeah.
CGI, and you're just like, this is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And then you watch again later, you're like, wow.
And I feel like
Like, wow, there was a lot of glass broken in this movie.
so much glass broken, so many people falling on their faces like idiots. It was
It's,
like
it's
so
a hilarious movie.
We had so much fun talking about that movie, but like so, just it speaks to our taste, right? So we had Henry, we had The Relic, and then you picked Possessor.
Oh,
I think it was Possessor. Those are the three
Possessor,
back to
okay,
back,
that's
which is
right.
Andrew
Brandon
very
Cronenberg.
much likes, like
Body horror.
sci-fi,
Sci-fi
body horror,
yeah.
like weird type stuff, like esoteric type, dream type stuff. But
Yeah.
there's definitely like we connected a lot of stuff that we all like in terms of the classics and new stuff. And I feel like we do a good blend of doing old stuff, new stuff, and also trying to, because I feel like one of the things that I never want to be boring, right? We like to try and mix things up. So that's why we throw in different stuff from time to time. Like if we do 3 or 4 movies in a row, sometimes 5, all right, let's toss in a draft. Let's do something else. Let's figure something else out that we can do that's a good topic that we can talk about. So
And you guys also do like haunted attractions.
Yeah, which
Yeah, we
is
try
great.
to.
That's
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
about like 4
Couple a year.
episodes a year. Because
Yeah.
we try to do like the one in Halfway to Halloween, which
Fright Kingdom
Fright Kingdom.
in Nashua, New Hampshire. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that I like to think that we differentiate ourselves with is that, a lot of people cover horror movies, but when we first started the show, there are really not a lot of podcasts. There are more now, but at the time we started, there weren't a lot of shows that did local New England haunted attractions. And like I listen to a lot of podcasts. There are a lot of podcasts I listen to that do like the national haunted attraction type stuff. Local stuff I feel like was criminally undercovered, which was something I wanted to do. So we've done Barrett's, we've done Fright Kingdom, we've done Spooky World or Nightmare New England. And that's one thing that I always want to continue to expand with our show. It's just, it's tough with schedules and everything to try and be able to get to travel and do it. Like, Matt and I have kids. It's like, I would love to be able to get up all
You guys
all
have
over the
little
place to do
kids.
it. Little
Yeah.
kids. Yeah, little kids. So it's tough to be able to figure that
Matt's
out.
like,
but-
I have a month old. I can't go.
I'm
here.
He is here. He is here. So yeah, I mean, we try to, I feel like, cover the entire horror spectrum.
But I think
Go
that's
ahead.
smart just because it gives you, like you're not just like, oh, we're going to review this movie. You're like, oh, we're going to take it in a different direction, do drafts. Oh, we're going to, like, it just keeps it fresh. It keeps it, even for you guys, it keeps it interesting. because sometimes it's easier to put together a top 5 list opposed to finding the time to sit down and watch a 2-hour movie.
Yep.
You
For
know?
sure.
The top 5 list
it's
is
a
like
different animal each
Yeah.
time. The other thing too, what I do enjoy is like listening back to episodes after they come out, because I like to hear how they sound.
yeah.
And then like obviously we're drinking and stuff, and it's like
Oh
you
man,
never want to be the
there's a few episodes I
token
don't like to go
drunk guy.
back and listen to where I'm like, oh,
Same. Yeah.
I don't listen to any episodes. I hate my voice. So
One of
it's
the
like,
other
nah.
cool things too is like it's I laugh, like it's funny.
Yeah.
And we don't like go out of our way to be like we got to be funny. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the conversation and the jokes and sometimes the impressions, things like that. They all just come out naturally in the
Whoa.
conversation. Yeah. There was like one episode, I forget which one it was, but we all riffed with Owen Wilson impressions for a few minutes, and that was good. But stuff like that, and it's like that's refreshing too, because there's not like podcasts are enjoyable to listen to, but I think to have that versatility and being informative and entertaining and like really nailing your topic, but also if you can make people laugh while you're doing all
Yeah.
that, that's a fucking huge plus.
yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I love about doing this podcast is some episodes are really fucking heavy because someone will be a creator and be like, oh, I really struggle with, PTSD from the time my mom was crushed by Godzilla or whatever, and it's like a fucking heavy conversation. And then other times you sit there and argue about Star Wars for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it, like, I never know how it's going to go. And that's what I love about it is just like,
Yeah.
It's unscripted.
yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
go where it's going to go. And,
I like how you said it was a heavy conversation, and his mom was crushed by Godzilla.
well, I didn't. I got to my mom was crushed, and I felt like someone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, what episode was that?" And I'm like, so I had to make it like stupid.
Yeah.
That's really good. I started
there's a
chuckling.
parallel
I was like-
universe
I was
where
like, I
that
shouldn't laugh
did
at this, but
happen.
Yeah, that's
because Godzilla.
Well, I mean, to Matt's point, I feel like one of the things that we really strive for is like we never want to sound like we're scripted or corny or gimmicky or anything like that. I feel like so when we started the show, I always envisioned it as you're sitting on a bar stool with your friends that are horror fans, talking about horror, having a couple of drinks, which I feel like we've stuck to pretty much.
We're definitely doing that.
Definitely on a bar
Just
stool.
gonna a couple of
Yeah,
drinks?
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
As the forklift comes by.
Yeah,
But yeah, we've stuck to that, and I feel like we've been doing this all long enough together that we sound pretty natural. We know each other's sense of humor, and I feel like we're all like pretty comfortable, like making each other laugh. Like we know what gets each other going, what opinions can get everybody. Like I know, for example, like I've been recording with Andrew for 4 years now, and I know what types of topics are going. That's me. I apologize. No. That's that's me getting a text.
Oh
I
no,
apologize.
someone's calling me. So.
Oh, as that was doing it?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
No, but
You don't
I
call me. I'm right next to you.
Whoa.
like I know what gets Andrew going. Like if I
What
bring up
grinds my gears.
I know what grinds Andrew's gears. Like if like we bring up some sort of topic that's a shared universe type thing or Marvel movies, I know Andrew is going to just absolutely go nuts for about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Just general.
Yeah,
So-
I was listening to the Godzilla -1 episode earlier today,
Yes.
and so I feel like Mike is a straight man, obviously. Like he's the I'm going to do the intro and do the news, and I feel like Andrew's more the unhinged neighbor
Wild.
with the tinfoil
Charlie
hat,
Day, yeah.
being like, "They're coming to take our movies."
It's not wrong. It's pretty spot on. So
Matt, when you joined, did you find it? Did it just fit automatically, or did you kind of?
I definitely I
like-
felt it felt comfortable.
Yeah.
But I also was like trying to keep my own place of being like the new guy. I didn't want to be overbearing. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. But I also wasn't afraid to have my own opinions about things, and kind of Mike very generously touched upon my knowledge on horror movies, which thank you. I appreciate that. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to share that as well, and like kind of make sure I brought what I had to the table.
Yeah.
And as it's gone on, it's gotten a lot more fun, a lot more comfortable. These guys, like, we hang out outside of the podcast. Like me and Andrew golfed on Sunday,
Yeah.
and like stuff like that. So these are fun guys to drink with
Yeah.
and hang out with too. So it's enjoyable. And now it's like we look forward to each week. And now like we just had our second daughter, it's I kind of took
You and Andrew?
me and my wife. Yeah, me and
We've
Andrew.
come a long way since this
Yeah,
podcast.
Congrats, guys.
Golf
gets
turned
weird.
into
Yeah,
butthole pleasures.
it's a slippery slope, my friends.
The Andrew does have his slippers.
You have no idea.
But I lost my fucking thought.
Oh, he's all flustered now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say if you whenever you remember your points.
Oh
speak
yeah,
up.
no.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I had to take kind of a backseat with like showing up live.
Yeah.
And doing the Zoom for a little bit, but I'm kind of getting the leeway. Sarah's very understanding and she's very cooperative with like allowing me to do this. She knows it's something that I enjoy. But I make sure I show up and do my part at home too. But it's fun being in person, and I think I notice a difference in my personality between the two, like Zoom and in person.
It is so much harder in Zoom.
It's
Yeah.
not that I'm just
Yeah.
trying to be quiet at my house because it's like
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
kids
yeah.
sleeping, and I can get very animated and loud when we're at your house in your basement and stuff. Like it's a little more comfortable to do that.
Because Matt doesn't care if your kids sleep.
Well,
No,
to
we're
be
too
fair,
far down,
and
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, that's the thing is so we
Otis
I'm
doesn't carry
I'm
them, so
15 feet away from my daughter's bedroom when
Yeah.
we record usually. So
yeah.
but just stuff like that. But like the flexibility that these guys have had with me and everything it's super appreciated. So it helps. But I like to make sure I can show up. I watch all the movies that we have for the week, and you don't always want to watch them. You know what I mean? Like everyone has different picks, and certain movies are different. Like so. Getting to do all of that stuff, but it's cool because you get to see all these movies you never would have watched sometimes in the first place.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
100%.
And sometimes you get some sneaky movies. You're like, that movie was fucking cool. Cat's had a few picks too, which
Yeah.
Shocking sometimes.
Cat has like a pretty wide variety of movies that she's picked, and there's been a few that I was like, this is probably gonna like blow, and I ended up really enjoying it. No offense to Cat, but just like you read the thing about it, you're like, this doesn't sound like a movie I would like pick
Right.
to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it is nice when you go into a cat pick and you're like, I'm gonna trash this movie when we're done, and then you watch it and you're like, oh no, I actually like this movie.
It was cool,
It's
yeah.
like
So-
like once every like 2 years. No, I don't.
I'll never forget when Kat picked Happy Death Day as a topic, and
I thought that was a fun movie.
see me too.
Yeah.
And Andrew was fucking ready to like destroy the world. He was so pissed, and then we got on the podcast, and he was like, "Kat, I have to begrudgingly admit." I actually kind of enjoyed that movie for what it was,
And I'll tell
she
you-
was so surprised.
I'll tell you the not the saving, because I thought it was a fun movie, but the whole time I'm like, this is a fucking ripoff of Groundhog Day. And then like the closing scene, someone's like, "Oh, you mean like Groundhog Day?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, never mind."
Yeah,
But yeah, no, like just I remember being at Speedwell one day. I think I was playing a gig and I had like shot over the idea to Mike. I'm like, listen, I was like, if you're open to it, I was like, I'd love to come on more often, if not full time, if you guys are cool with it. And Mike immediately called me and was like, yeah, no, let's
I remember that day very well.
That's how we got Dan Mahoney on Bar Talk. He didn't really ask; he just kept fucking showing up.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they would
That's
invite
a
me
move.
on, and I was like, I want to do this more. Like
Yeah.
I was trying to do it before with another buddy, and it just it didn't work out schedule wise where we were at in our lives. And I was like, I definitely can dedicate time to do this. So
Yeah.
it's like I think I can bring some cool
Have
stuff
you
to the show.
guys had that moment out in the real world where you stumbled across a fan yet?
I think here and there.
Since the trivia, I've had a few people be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you do that horror trivia?" I was like, "Yeah." And then I explained the podcast, and they're like, "Oh, no way! Like that's cool." So
Yeah.
it's funny when you tell people that you do a podcast, they think it's like they're like, "Oh my god, really?"
There's
I'm
like two different reactions you get.
They're also like, oh,
some people are like, "What's a podcast?"
oh, you're
Okay,
a
there's
white,
three
you're a
different
white guy
reactions
with
you
an
get.
opinion.
Yeah,
you do a
yeah.
podcast?
Yeah.
No shit, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
You
course.
get that, then you get
Yeah.
the, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" Like I was telling everyone, the delivery guys who made delivery to our new office was like, "Do you guys have like a YouTube show?" And then they're like angling to get on it, and I'm like, "No offense, but we don't interview FedEx delivery guys."
You could get into
What's
their
that,
world
We
a
could,
little
but I
bit.
don't really want to.
Daniel Tosh's new podcast is pretty like that. Like he interviewed like I guess like his dentist.
Oh,
And there's
really?
all these like random people, and it's.
David Cross has
I
a
haven't
funny
watched
new
it.
one,
Someone
too.
just told me that. So,
Yeah.
but I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. Just interview random like just everyday people. It's probably you probably get some interesting stories.
For sure, yeah.
Do you
But
have?
So
like
maybe
a-
you should interview your.
I'm not
FedEx
going to interview the FedEx guys.
Do you have like a kind of show that you enjoy listening to on your own free time?
I have a bunch of shows I listen
Like
to.
what? Like your top three? Like what are your like go to like top?
So
like,
the one that got me interested in podcasting, in like listening and then doing, is called No Such Thing as a Fish.
okay, is that how Fish Guy's thinking?
No, you must know how fish.
I know how Fish
All
Guy
right.
is,
It's
yeah.
super not interesting.
Smelly.
Mike is too generic of a name. So they're researchers.
smelly.
Poor guy. Not
Sometimes
even here to
he
defend
worked in
himself.
you worked
seafood.
with
Sometimes
seafood,
he would
yeah.
show up and be like, "Bro,
okay.
shower." Not often, but sometimes.
I thought it was like half baked. You're not a fish. You're a man.
Oh no. So his name's Mike, and he was the assistant seafood manager at a grocery store. And literally, someone walked into my store one day and was like, "Hey, I saw Mike the other day." And I'm like, "Which one?" And they're like, Fish Boy. That was
Fish
it.
Boy.
Yeah, so we call him Fish Boy forever, and then we're lazy.
Fish.
So
So
now
now
I
we
feel like we have to-
graduated to
It's a
Fish.
fish, yeah.
Now we have a,
That's-
have a
that's
different
much
name
more
for
respectful.
Mike then.
Mike.
You can't call me Fish Boy.
No, not
Yeah.
Fish Boy. Something
yeah.
different.
Worm Boy.
Worm Boy, I guess. That's that's the running joke on our show.
Noodle
Yeah.
nibbler.
Yeah. Noodle nibbler. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess sure.
That might be worse.
So no such thing as a fish. They're researchers for a British TV show,
Okay.
and they introduced the 4 most interesting facts they found out that week. And we went and saw them live in Boston, and so they did Boston facts. And the one that I remember is like the first police car in the United States was in Boston. But the interesting thing is no one on the police force knew how to drive it, so they had to hire a driver.
That's weird. Like
Wow.
a chauffeur. for
Basically, a
police.
chauffeur to drive the police around.
That's cool. I didn't know
And
that.
so
So were
then-
the cops sitting in the back where the
I don't know.
convicts
I
are
mean,
supposed to sit or whatever? Convicts. Like
Riding shotgun
they're not
criminals.
convicts yet.
criminals?
But then, like, someone else would be like, "Oh, I have this other interesting police fact," or "I have this other interesting police car fact," and then they kind of riff off of that.
Okay, cool.
So it's really funny, and you get those bar trivia
yeah.
info things. Then I listened to Sawbones, which it's like the tagline is the marital guide to misguided medicine. So the wife is a doctor, the husband is a professional podcaster, and they'll pick like an ailment like chickenpox, and
Okay.
she'll track down history, the first recorded case of chickenpox, and be like, at that time you had to rub mule shit on yourself and drank lavender tea under a full moon, and that was curing your chickenpox.
Like bloodletting and stuff.
Yeah, and then walk it all the way up to the modern treatment.
that's kind of cool.
It's super interesting and also
That's
pretty
called
funny.
Sawbones.
Sawbones.
I might check that one out. 'cause
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What other ones? I just interviewed a host of one of my favorites. It's called God Awful Movies. It's a movie review podcast, and they're 3 atheists that review Christian movies.
Oh man.
And if you think horror movies are bad,
That's
holy shit!
Yeah, no, I bet.
I'm gonna give you guys some homework.
Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas or what? any
I'm
Kirk
pretty sure
Cameron
that's
movie?
been right now. They're
Yeah.
doing Mormon Movie Month.
Oh, nice.
So it's all Mormon movies. But you guys need to watch the trailer for this movie. It's called The Badge, The Bible, and Bigfoot.
Oh my
Love
God.
It is
Is Sam
shot.
Elliott in it?
No. It is the right. It's the right family. There's 4 actors in the entire movie, including the protagonist and Bigfoot. But it's like a family being haunted by Bigfoot, and like the husband is like this ex-Navy
This is
SEAL.
a Christian movie?
Yeah.
And they have Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Well, they probably preached to Bigfoot.
No. He
You'd
like
think that would go against...
No, it is literally like him fighting Bigfoot with like his arm in like a monkey costume arm fighting himself from off skirt.
Oh, boy.
Dude, I'm telling you, watch the trailer and you'll be like, every horror movie I've ever seen is like 1,000 times better than this.
I mean,
Yeah.
I gotta say, most of the time when I'm watching a horror movie, I'm not having a bad time.
Yeah.
I'm watching them because I like the genre. It's very rare that I have a bad time if I'm watching something. Like there's few and far between. Like certain movies, I'm like, this just really isn't my cup of tea. I understand that like there's different tastes for different people, but that doesn't automatically mean for me that it's a bad movie. It's just not necessarily for me. Just like in the same sense that I wouldn't expect everybody that watches, Deep Rising from 1999 to be like, wow, this is a fucking great creature feature. I understand that I am of a different breed
Is that
than
the
most people.
one? Is Val Kilmer in that?
No, that's Treat Williams.
Okay.
I believe it's Mila Jovovich.
Jovovich.
It is.
Oh,
Let me put it
geez.
this way: it's Stephen Sommers who
Okay.
directed the 1999 Academy Award-winning film The Mummy, the movie he directed before The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. So it wasn't 99; it was
It's
like
supposed to be
97.
Part of a shared universe too.
Yeah, part of a
initially.
shared universe.
What the hell's the one that I'm
They
thinking
crash
of?
on like Skull
Are
Island.
you
Skull
thinking
Island.
of
Yeah, King Kong?
I thought it was like a like we're
Deep Blue Sea.
No. It's like a
Another great movie.
Voyage to Mars thing with Val Kilmer.
Oh,
Ghosts of Mars, the Carpenter
Ghosts
film.
of Mars.
Is Val Kilmer in
Is that
that?
the one with Travolta?
No.
Red
what am I
Planet.
thinking
No.
of?
Oh, that might be it.
What's the one where Travolta plays the space ghost?
That's the Scientology movie, isn't it?
I thought that was like, hey, yeah.
That's not Ghost
Isn't
of
that a
Mars?
Star Trek movie? Is
Oh
that-
wait, no. The
it-
Scientology one is Battleship Earth.
Battleship Earth. That's
Yes.
the one I'm thinking
that's a
of. with Travolta.
Scientology movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
L. Ron Hubbard, who invented Scientology, wrote that.
Oh no, shit.
Yeah.
I didn't
Oh,
even-
yeah.
I don't even know.
Meant it.
I was thinking of.
Kinda. He doesn't really mean Scientology, like at all. Sorry, Scientologists who are out there listening.
that is the movie.
I don't apologize to Scientologists.
I make fun of all
Ever.
religions equally.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even the fake ones. Oh, wait,
Raised
they're
as a
all-
Catholic, I make fun of the Catholic religion on our podcast more than any other
Heathen.
religion. Yeah, exactly.
Scientology.
Sorry,
there's
sorry,
a new,
fellow
There's
Catholics.
a new documentary on Netflix about Scientology.
Is what's her name from King of Queens in it?
Like they
Leah
mention
Remini?
her.
Oh, they
Yeah,
do?
they mention her, but it's more like non-famous.
That's their like
people.
Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah. It's,
Ooh, baby.
There's a few people that are like.
Yeah, Leah Remini's not very hard on the eyes.
No,
No.
she's fine.
King of Queens. She was great.
I don't mind that show.
I actually think that show's underrated.
Kevin James. is
I
fine.
enjoy that show. Patton Oswalt was on that show. He was great.
Stiller.
Jerry Stiller. Yep.
You know what's
Classic.
funny is I always whenever I watch anything with Patton Oswalt, he reminds me of you. Like your mannerisms are very similar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Your delivery and like
Okay.
your cadence, the way you
I'm
talk.
like,
Am I insulted?
yeah,
by
no,
this?
no, literally like
You should be.
I
Patton
don't-
Oswalt's the man.
I
love
know
Patton
that's
Oswalt.
100%.
Yeah.
That's I mean that as like a compliment because I think he's very funny, and you have the very same like delivery and cadence the way you speak as he does. And
What was
I'll
that?
take that as a
I
compliment.
can actually see
should.
that now. That you
I
mention
mean
that,
I
yeah.
mean that. As
Okay.
well.
There was,
I'm
I think,
still
like
not sure.
a movie or a documentary, and it was like Zach Galifianakis, Patton Oswalt. It was like comedians in comedy shows doing comedy or whatever it was. It was like a riff on. It was like from like late.
Comedians in cars getting coffee.
Not that.
You're making fun of that?
No, it was before that. It was just like it was like it was like not the Kings of Comedy. You know how they have like that thing.
Yeah.
It was like something else, but it was Galifianakis and it was Patton Oswalt. And
Oh,
was,
is it Between Two Ferns?
No, it was something
No,
different.
but,
I
Between
can't
Two
remember the
Ferns.
name. I
Watch
love
that all
Between Two
day. Me
Ferns.
too.
Look it up. It was it was like one of the other guys that was on it. He's been in some dumb. He's like this tall, bald guy with a huge beard and glasses.
Oh.
You know what I'm
I know
talking-
exactly who you're talking about.
And it was like live
Brian
stand-ups.
something?
Brian Rose.
Oh, Brian Posehn.
Hussein.
Hussein,
Yeah.
So he was in it.
Yeah,
I think I know what one you're talking about too.
Yeah, and it was really good. It was like the stand up. It was like just like 5 or 10 minute clips of them doing stand up, each of them at a place, and then like in between, like going to the next venue and doing it. So it was like kind of like a behind the scenes, like kind of. It was very funny. I died.
listen to a lot of podcasts with stand-up comedians that host them. They're on them, this, that, and the other thing. And it's a lot. I'm getting really into their conversations about doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And that lifestyle, and bombing and killing, and like having all these things. And I just think it's so fucking cool. As a musician who plays in front of people, I'm like, could I do stand-up comedy? I'm like,
It's very
Taxes.
because now that we do the comedy shows, like I get to see like
oh, that's right.
Yeah. and it's there's a Plymouth guy, Jimmy Doherty, who's on like 2
I know
episodes
him.
ago.
He, me and him rode school bus together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like I was definitely drunk. I don't know if he was, but like we're at the British Beer Company, and somehow it came up that I run Inebri-art, and he's like, Mike Walsh told me I should talk to you. which is too bad that Mike went to the bathroom.
Damn it, Mike.
And I'm like, okay. He's like, I want to be a comedian. And he says, you run comedy shows. And I'm like, oh, great. Thanks, Mike. And I'm like, here's AJ's contact. Go to the open mic. And I thought that was going to be the end of it, because that shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
Where people are like, I want to do podcasts.
They're just drunk and they're like, I'm funny.
Or they're
Yeah.
just
They're
like,
like, "No, you're not."
I want to teach a class. And you're like, what kind of class? And they tell you, and you be like, sober up.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And then circle back. And then you never hear from them again. But he's crushing it.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
he
he's
did
pretty
like
funny.
16 open mics in like 14 days or some shit like
Jesus.
that. Yeah, so he's like putting in the work, and I'm like, okay. And so when I'm like, let's get you on the podcast, because I feel like
He's a funny kid. He's got a very like interesting sense of humor. He always has, and he's
Yeah.
smart.
yeah,
So I think that's the key with those kind of people, comedians, is like you have to be smart, not
Yes.
just like streets. You have to
Quick-witted.
have
yeah,
knowledge.
yes, you have to
And
be
smart,
smart, and you
yeah.
have to be very
like a
very
high
fit.
IQ.
Yeah.
like you got to, because the
I would
more.
listen, I've talked to enough of them. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, but like you
It's a
listen to
different level
Yeah.
of like smart though.
There's a level of intelligence that has to come with it, because
Yeah.
you have to know what the fuck you're talking about, and you have. I think it's easy to be funny and make fun of everything if you can back up facts.
Facts, and you have to be able to take a lot of different point of views,
Perspective.
Yeah.
perspectives,
Yeah.
yep, and
Yeah.
put it into one thought.
What
basically.
this is going to make everyone from
Yeah.
every walk of earth laugh.
Well, that will never happen.
No,
but
but
the thing
to
is,
try.
and I think
Unless you're Chappelle, then maybe.
on your
Oh, maybe
your point there is, you have to not do the hacky obvious.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah, oh, your mother's ugly. Like,
What's up with that?
yeah.
What's the deal with airline
Yeah.
peanuts?
But to really come up with something new and interesting that isn't something that you just are recycling, and
Which is tough because it's like horror movies
very-
now. Like
yeah.
finding an original horror movie is like gold when someone makes it. You're like, holy shit,
You
that
took the
was
words right out of my mouth.
fantastic.
And the problem is, like, there is a local comic. His name's Mo Musa. He's fucking hysterical, and he does this whole bit about like hair loss pills and how he takes the hair loss pills to be attractive to women, but a side thing is
heard
you
that.
lose your. And he's like, so I'm taking these pills to be more attractive to people that I'm not attracted to anymore. And it's super funny, and it fucking kills every time he does it. And then I went and saw Jim Jeffries, and then Jim Jeffries did almost the same fucking bit. Neither of them stole from each other. They both just saw the comic.
Yeah. There's
you
just
know?
so
Each
many.
have
There's
the
only
same
so many
problem.
things. There's a lot of people that are very similar and find stuff similarly funny. So
Right.
eventually, you're going to have the same
that overlap. Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, it's funny because comedy and horror are so they shake hands so much.
The line
Yeah.
is so thin
Yeah.
between the
Yeah,
two.
and it really is such a funny thing of how they are so incredibly similar, yet completely far apart. And every once in a fucking while, they meet in the middle, and you get a fucking gem.
Yeah.
Like Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Shaun of the
Well, we're
Dead, I
going to
think,
talk
is-
about that a little
Okay.
bit later, too.
I think that's
but-
why you're seeing like more comedy people in comedy being successful in horror, like Jordan Peele, or like sometimes,
Wait,
right? So, like,
I'm going to interrupt you for one
yeah,
second.
go ahead.
You guys have your beers, right?
Yes.
Join me in a audible crack,
Oh, hold on. Sure.
and I'll explain why.
Go.
This is the first beers in the new office.
Oh, baby
Chris,
boy.
yeah,
Chris,
no shit.
Hell yeah, brother.
And just to circle back, just in case anyone's interested in actually watching it, it is the Comedians of Comedy from 2005.
Okay.
It's Maria Bamford, Brian Posehn, Zach Galifianakis, and Patton Oswalt on tour.
Yeah.
Like just and then the stuff that happens.
She's
in
like
between.
the little blonde lady?
Yeah, it's extremely hilarious, and it's some of Zach Galifianakis' funniest bits.
His old stuff is great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Still is great. But
He's like you can't beat his Between Two Ferns stuff. Honestly,
Oh, this
that
is-
makes me laugh.
This
as
might
hard
be
as
better
Anything.
because his stand up is hilarious in this, and this is like old, like 2005. So it was probably from like 2004, 2003 when they were doing the tour when they made it. So
Okay, fair.
we're talking 20 years old now.
He had this bit that used to be on the Comedy Central Presents, and he was like, I got so drunk one time, I pissed the bed. It's like I wasn't asleep. I was just standing in front of my
But to your point, Mike, where you're saying like more comedy is in horror, I think the best comedy or the best horror and the best drama has a bit of comedy in it because it offsets the, like you can't just be like drama. You need like peaks and valleys. Mm-hmm. And if there's good comedy in it, I remember us talking, I think with Fish, about the Game of Thrones TV show there on Prime. I can't remember what it's on.
The
Lord of Dragons.
The first.
Well, so Thrones on HBO, and the new Throne show is House of the Dragon.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just can't get into it. And Fish is like, yeah, it's not funny. And I'm like,
I'm trying.
I'm like, Game of
trying
Thrones
very
isn't
hard.
funny.
Thrones funny?
Dude, it's fucking hysterical.
Thrones-
like, I didn't realize it at the
Thrones
time.
is funny.
It's really funny.
Yeah, Thrones has some low key comedy moments in between, incredible battles and incredible drama, which I feel like
Peter
this-
Dinklage is funny.
Right.
Dinklage is the
yeah.
best. He's great, but I mean, the new show I'm really trying hard to get into, and it just hasn't grabbed me yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really trying, and I feel like the first version of Thrones had the added horror element for me of the White Walkers. That was pure horror.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And this show doesn't have it yet because it's set 1,000 years before. Like, so it's different. It's very different, but I like
dragons,
it.
though.
Spooky dragons, the big dragons, big old dragons. So I like House of the Dragon. I don't love it quite yet. I want to love it, but I don't quite yet.
I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah,
I've
I've never
been
watched
into
it.
that.
I will never watch it.
I know.
Game of Thrones,
These guys.
I like
I'm not
a
a
lot.
Lord of the Rings guy. I'm not
I love Lord of the Rings.
See,
Really?
and
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
I
a,
can't
I'm not
do
a
that.
fantasy guy. Lord of the Rings, I've never been into. No offense.
Well, you've
I
never
know-
watched them.
I have seen them.
Oh, you have watched
I have
them.
seen them. Game of Thrones is like the one fantasy thing I've ever been into because it seems a little bit more
violent as
realistic.
shit.
It's violent.
More realistic.
Yes.
What do you mean more realistic? Dragons flying around burning people?
There's
the
not as
special
much.
effects are
There's
better?
not as much magic. There's some dragons. Yes.
True.
Some
Yeah.
weird
and
stuff.
White Walkers.
It's
essentially zombies.
As
Yeah, but
one
there's
of
no
my,
Balrogs, there's no goblins,
Correct.
there's no halflings.
as one of my favorite actors of all
Yeah,
time,
I guess
Ian
if you wanna say it's more
McShane said.
realistic.
Ian McShane of Deadwood and a bunch of other stuff. Essentially, at the end of the day, it's just tits and dragons. Which, to me, like, yeah, okay,
And
sign
soft,
me up.
And soft wieners.
Yep, and soft. Weed.
Like, don't lie. Your favorite part of that show is Jason Momoa. Momoa.
Momoa.
Momoa.
The joke would land
Momoa.
better if you could pronounce.
Well,
the guy's
whatever.
name.
That's how straight.
So that's
I am,
before
that I
he
don't
was
even
very
know his
famous,
name.
and he was in the first season, and he was very
Yeah.
good in his role as Khal Drago. Yes, I will give you that. But I mean, he's not one of my favorite actors.
I'm joking.
But he is hot.
He's
I
super hot guy. I mean, absolutely ripped. Come on.
one of the last.
You were just gushing about Glenn Powell, so clearly you think he's.
I mean, you are out of your mind if you do not think Glenn Powell's a handsome dude.
That guy
don't.
looks like a human
Squirrel.
Like, yeah,
He looks
he's
like a little
Which
squirrel.
one's Glenn Powell?
So he's
Glenn
the lead guy in Twisters. He was
Sorry
in
for screaming.
Top Gun Maverick.
Sorry, Fish.
Oh, I'd have to. I've seen that. Yeah, I'd probably
You
know
guys
him
are
if I saw him.
fucking out of your minds. He's a handsome guy.
Sure.
Like he's gonna.
But he
be,
looks like he looks fake. He looks like an AI.
okay.
Oh.
He looks like he has never had his eyes
Insert
open in
Hollywood
his
celebrity.
entire life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, whatever.
I
I'm,
wouldn't.
Fine.
Mike, I'm not going to yuck your yum.
Fine.
Yuck, you're
Fair
yum.
enough.
We all different tastes in men.
Yum, you're yuck, though.
I mean, he's no Brendan Fraser, but that's okay.
I do have a
From the whale.
From the whale. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I'm Brendan Fraser from The Whale.
Oh, please.
The Mummy. Sorry, the
you
Brendan
see The
Fraser in the
Whale?
Mummy.
No, I haven't.
I
It's
haven't.
sad.
Yeah.
It's very, very
and that's
sad.
one of those
Yeah.
things. Like there's a lot of movies that everyone's like, oh my god, it's so good, but it's so sad. I'm like, awesome.
That's
Now I'm not-
Aronofsky though, dude. Like,
Yeah, but-
Requiem for the Dream. Requiem for a Dream is so good, but it's
Yeah.
devastating.
Right, but it's just one of those things I never like. There'll be
just
movies
wanna
where
feel
like
bad.
I really want to see it, but you're never like, I really want to fucking ruin my night.
See, dude, I'm all about that.
I do that on
I talk
a
about that on
weekly
the podcast.
basis.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
I think
enjoyable.
I speak of that on the podcast where I'm picking these extreme and like bleak movies. I think it's important to every once in a while subject yourself to negativity, because as negative as the world is and negative as your day might be, you know what I mean. fake positivity, I think, is the most destructive fucking thing in the world.
Mike, Matt, I can just show up at your work and just yell at you if you'd like.
Go ahead, dude. I'd yell right back. Dude. But I think it's important to kind of subject yourself to things like that where you're going to feel something.
Yeah.
You're going to practice emotion.
Yeah.
Because if you have people that grow up and they grow into their 30s, sometimes 40s, and they don't experience a close loss in their whole life, which is, it's not a bad thing, but they're devastated by it.
Yeah.
And to kind of prepare yourself to feel an emotion of a character that you like, even read a book that has a sad ending and you lose characters. I think just stuff like that is important for your brain.
I would agree. And there's certain things to like this day that I kind of steer away from, mostly just because I know I'm a bitch and I'm going to cry. And it's like
good for you, man.
It's like the soldier coming home and surprising their relative videos. Fuck those.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
sweet.
Oh my god.
Dude,
But that's
the
a
ending
beautiful
of
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what
but
I mean?
it is
Like,
beautiful.
yeah.
Dude, the ending of Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
lost
great.
it. Yeah. That movie was awesome, and that
beginning
was
of Up.
so sad. Oh God, Up! Don't even get me
The
started.
end of not in what is the Day of the Dead Pixar movie?
Oh,
Coco?
Yeah,
Coco.
Coco.
Oh my god, yeah, that movie.
Yeah.
Encanto has
The girl I was dating is like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, no.
Dude, Moana. Every once in a while, Moana. We watch Moana a lot.
Yeah.
And Moana will get me sometimes when the grandmother comes back. It's the stingray, and I'm
That's
like,
interesting. So I will fully admit that since I've so my daughter is she's going to be 2 in a few months. I feel like I have just turned into a puddle with certain things now.
just gonna
it's funny,
ask
dude.
you
That's,
that.
that's how it goes, man.
Yeah.
Especially with a daughter.
Yeah.
Have you experienced it yet?
What?
The
Being a puddle?
like turning into a little bitch because of your
Dude,
kids?
of course.
Dude, I'm telling you, my ex-wife had my son out visiting friends. He was in like the car seat that like you carried around. Like that's how little he was. He's 22 now. And she comes home and I'm sitting there watching, I think it's called The Rookie with
The baseball movie?
Yeah, with
Dennis
Dennis
Quaid.
Quaid.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching. She comes in. She's like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "He's doing it for his son to show us." And she's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know."
So here's one for you. A couple months ago, my daughter is at the point where I'm trying to wean her off of Miss Rachel and Sesame Street and other things like that, and I'm trying to show her like other stuff. So like I'm trying to show her Pixar stuff. So like she loves Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, that type of stuff.
Honey,
And
this is Cannibal Holocaust.
No, never. Here's a bunch of animals getting killed for art. Not cool. Anyway, that's a different topic for a different episode of our podcast, which might be out relatively soon. I put on The Lion King.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
And when Mufasa bit it, I was not prepared.
sad,
my God, I was not prepared for how much of a puddle I was going to turn into, and I'm like not ashamed by saying that. I was just very surprised at like how emotionally affected I was, because I think my mom took me to see that movie in theaters when that was like what Lion King was 94, so I was like 8.
I was just born at that.
I was a young lad.
Yeah, me too.
When that came out, and I probably have mentioned this before, but to Cannibal Holocaust related to the Lion King, Scar is definitely eating Mufasa's remains in his cave.
Oh, I've seen that.
After that, yeah. Well, the head of the it's like a skeleton. It's like the lion's skull. It's really fucked
There's a
up.
lot of fucking weird shit in Disney.
Toy
movies.
Story 2, dude. I remember because we watched Toy Story and then we watched Toy Story 2 and
2, 3, and 4.
I don't think I've seen 4.
2 got me bad.
dude.
And
Yeah.
I remember when it was like the little cowgirl doll, Jessie, and she has like her recounting of her like the girl that owned her kind of like growing up, throwing her under the bed, and then put her in a box and like drops her off on the side of the road like it's the fucking Haley Joel Osment in the movie AI. Just like, you're just gonna go, you're just gonna get out of here. Like, and it's just like I remember Layla looking at that and being like, "Oh, she's sad. Like she misses. She turns to me. She misses her friend." And I was like, "I know. I miss her."
Wait, hold on. Let's stick with that for a second, though, because I feel like slight horror for children is an important thing. Like you said, just like for adults, it's important to remember like how fucked up the world can be sometimes. It's important, I think, for kids at a certain age to realize that not everything is going to be great either, you know? Like, in a subtle way.
Why you should show
Winnie the
them,
Pooh, like Heffalump, like we're big on Winnie the Pooh right now.
Brave
So,
Little
like,
Toaster.
Brave Little
Secret
Toaster.
Nim,
Toaster's a good
Yes.
one.
Nim, Fox and the Hound.
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
showed-
Dark
Watership
Crystal.
Down.
Yep.
Watership.
I showed Labyrinth to Zoe when Zoe was, I don't know, 8 maybe, and I'm like, oh, it's a handsome movie.
Is that the one when the horse drowns?
No,
No,
that's
no,
never
that's
ending
Neverending
story.
Story.
That's
Yeah.
another
Oh my
night.
God.
Like talk about just giving you stress throughout the rest of your life.
It's
watching
the one
those
with
movies.
Jennifer Connelly.
Oh yeah.
How are you?
yeah.
Yeah, and you can't say that because in this, you can say that, but
No,
the age
now,
she is in
how
that
are
movie
you
is
now?
like-
Yes.
How are
and
you
I was
now?
also a baby. when
I was
this
gonna
movie
say
came
I
out.
was
Same.
the exact same age when that movie
Yeah,
came out.
so
as
it's
her,
fine.
So
It's funny. She's like
Yeah.
periodically as you grow up, she's just in devastating movies for a different age.
yeah,
Because she's in Requiem for a Dream too.
yeah, and Beautiful Mind.
And a beautiful.
Which
Mind.
fucked
Those
me
are
up, too.
3
Yeah.
levels of just like devastation.
But so I showed Zoe Labyrinth and fucking riveted. Like, didn't look away from the screen. I'm like, yes, my kid's gonna be in fucking cool movies. And then took a nap and woke up having a nightmare and was like, why did they take the baby? And I'm like, oh,
of the
I
babe.
just sent you to therapy. Fuck.
The power. It's just you should have said the power of the babe.
Yeah. And I'm like, that wasn't real. But why
We're
did
doing-
they take the baby?
we're doing Scooby Doo
okay.
right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the old like original like Scooby Doo.
like Fireball and
With
McFadden.
Casey Kasem and
Yeah, like whatever the
yeah.
like the ones from the 60s.
Yeah.
They're all on HBO. So and she loves it. So she's actually we don't
They're
have any
fucking great.
we don't have any Scooby Doo books, and she keeps asking like at night we read her book. She's like, oh, we do a Scooby Doo book. So this weekend I'm gonna take her over to Barnes and Noble try and get some Scooby Doo books. But the I'm like stoked, and Sarah's like watching me show her Scooby Doo and love it, and like biting her nails
because she
like,
knows what's
fuck.
next.
Like she's gonna love
be a
horror
huge
movies.
horror
Just
fan.
make sure you never
Here's
never
something
let
similar.
her watch any with Scrappy Doo though. Because
We did Scrappy. She she was
She's
like
fine.
she didn't.
hate
She it wasn't her
Scrappy.
favorite. She was like I like the regular. She's like I like when
Scrappy
Scooby's
Doo. He's like
just Scooby.
Popeye as a dog.
That's a funny dog,
with a baby
Scooby Doo.
dog.
Used to ride around in a van and
We got a pal named Scrappy.
solve mysteries.
Yeah.
That's
She-
incorrect. No, that's correct.
I tried showing
Remember,
her
he
the
had a
new
pal,
ones and she
Scrappy
didn't
Doo.
like them. She
Yeah.
was like, "These are weird." Like
I like the one with Scrappy, with Scooby Dum.
I don't. We haven't tried.
He
those ones
looks
yet.
exactly like fucking Scooby Doo.
But he's just
but
he's like goofier.
really stupid.
Yeah.
In a similar vein, by the way, Bridget's a little bit too young. Tales from the Crypt Keeper, the cartoon, is on Amazon Prime Video, and that's
Why
out
do you
there.
bring that up, Mike?
Well, because I loved Tales from the Crypt in the 90s, and the cartoon obviously was a huge influence on my life, and I came to... Yeah, and obviously, you know, we're going to talk
Called
about...
a segue, man. Like,
I wasn't even really trying to do that, but we are obviously going to talk about Haunts and Hops at some point in this podcast,
but we should get to it now. Like we're already almost at an hour.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, why? Are you get somewhere to be?
No, but Fish has to edit, and then I have to listen to Fish being like, "That was a really long episode."
I mean, this has been fun. I think we've been.
I mean, that part
I don't
might get
think we've
edited
been-
out.
I don't think we've been rambling too much about crying
yeah.
about children's shows and stuff or anything like
No,
that.
I'm perfectly okay with
Yeah.
it.
I
So-
think it's a funny duality of
It
us
is, it
being
is.
horror fans, and we're all.
Well, I was gonna say
The
one of
brave
the-
little
one of
toast
the-
made me cry.
one of the biggest like tearjerker moments for me in a movie, not a child's movie, but it's when Kevin Costner plays catch with his dad and
Oh,
my
God,
God.
Field of Dreams. That always gets me, no matter. And I know it's coming. And I'm like, I can't.
The funny
and I'm
part-
like,
Not gonna cry this
I've
time.
played catch with my dad a billion times.
Me
but
too.
Still,
yeah,
I can't.
it never fails.
The funny part is like I was probably my 30s by the time I saw that movie, and I knew if you build it, he will come like whole. But had zero idea that that's how that movie ended. Somehow I missed every spoiler, and I saw that movie and I was just like, "What the fuck? This is amazing!"
Two I'll hit on real quick, and then we can move on. Big Fish.
Yeah.
Every time
I
cry.
saw that in theaters with my
Yep.
dad, and I was
Oh,
like
God.
young, and
Couldn't
he
even imagine.
cried.
Yeah.
Because his dad died when he was young, and I was looking at him, and I was like, "You're crying."
I
was like,
will-
I probably should cry.
I will tell you
Should
my
I be
Big
crying?
Fish story, and dude, the hardest I've ever cried at a movie.
Yeah.
So my father passed away 21 years ago. I think that's about right. No, ballpark. But it's also Big Fish came out about 21 years ago.
Oh man, yeah.
So my father passed away in early December, and at that point it was like taking care of mom, like gotta be there for her, blah blah, you know, all the. That movie came out in January, around my birthday, and my wife, now ex-wife, was like, "Hey, you know, like we should probably like we need a night out. Let's go out."
Oh no.
And I'm like, "Oh, Tim Burton's got a new movie out."
Oh no.
She's
About
pregnant.
some big fish.
She's
Oh,
pregnant
no.
with my youngest,
I love Swedish
which,
fish.
if you remember the Big Fish, his wife is pregnant, and part of it is like, how am I going to explain to my unborn child about my father when I don't? We sat there and watched the entire movie. Stood up, didn't say a fucking word. Walked to the car and just bawled
Damn.
uncontrollably.
Yeah, that's
But it was just like it was such a like that had been building up for like a month.
See,
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's
you probably need it.
Oh, I
That's-
absolutely
release.
I
Good
love
release.
that movie
Yeah.
because and
Yeah.
like I feel a little more special than you guys because that movie means something to me that you guys will never like.
yeah.
Sure. I
Me
understand.
and like maybe what 4 other people are gonna have a similar experience to that.
Yeah, we'll just as
Yeah.
like you're like this movie's about me. Like,
Kind of
Why
like
don't
it
you,
was
why
just
don't you
like-
search a Reddit page? I bet you there's a shitload on that probably.
probably.
let him have.
That's
I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking.
wait. I'm gonna mute you now. Hang on a fucking second.
But
You
see
go
what
on
I
Reddit,
mean?
we'll
Like
see how special you
that's
are.
I say it,
that's a great example of like having something that's an emotional response. It's an emotional response.
Yeah.
and that's
That needed
you
to
probably
happen.
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's huge.
Yeah.
So that's
Also,
good.
there comes a point in every episode where Andrew needs to be muted for at least a few minutes every time. So
I wasn't saying it to be a dick. I was literally saying there's probably a Reddit group where
Yeah,
you could,
yeah.
you know,
But it really
No,
happened to
for
me.
sure.
for sure.
connect. Yeah, I'm
I'm
saying
not just doing it
dick.
for someone to be a troll.
No, I feel you, man. No, but where were we? We were talking.
you
We
You
were
said
talking
Big Fish,
yes.
and then you said something else.
Big Fish, and I was going to say also the end of Forrest Gump. I will always never cease
really?
to. Yeah, it's really because one of my favorite movies. He's such a good guy, so pure of heart, and just, dude, Jenny treats him like such shit the entire movie.
Oh, she's the
and he just
worst.
loves her
That's
so much.
the worst. He just like undying love for her, walks all over him, and then he's just when he's crying at her grave, it gets me every time.
Yeah, that's
See, the part that gets me is when Bubba dies.
And when he's talking about their son, he's so smart, Jenny. He's not like me. Like that, just
Yeah,
it'll
that's
never
tough
never
one.
cease to
I just
never
got
cease to
goosebumps
get me.
thinking
Yeah, I
about it. I
know
haven't
it's
watched that
the
in a while.
worst. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember enjoying it, but it
Yeah.
didn't, you know,
yeah.
didn't
But-
resonate in that way.
No, it's for me. For me, it does.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
So, Mike, tell us about the Crypt Keeper.
So, yeah, I feel like you probably wanted to talk about Haunts and Hops at some point in this
little bit.
episode,
Might as
right?
well.
Yeah, we might as well. I mean, yeah. I mean, do you want to talk, I guess, first about like the genesis of how we came to start this, or you came to start this? I feel like I. So let me ask you this:
Okay.
you came to me with this idea,
Yes, I did.
and I helped you see it to fruition. So I hesitate to call myself
Co-creator.
co-creator because it was your idea.
Okay.
I don't know.
I guess.
You tell me. I don't know. You tell me. What was the
I
idea?
think it's
How did
my
it come to
idea
fruition?
entirely. I don't even know why you're talking about it.
This guy.
you,
over
Mike.
No, so essentially what happened is I always say most of what Inebri-art does is by accident. And through weird circumstances, we started running these shop local markets. And they've been kind of, I don't want to say they've run their course, but they're petering out. They're not as popular as they used to be. And we've been running for like 4 years. And I was like, oh, like when we do niche things, they seem more interesting. Like, the way I look at it is like if you have a couple sitting at home on their couch and one of them's looking through their phone, being like, do you want to go to a craft fair on Saturday? And the other one's like, no. But if they're like, hey, you like hot sauce? There's a hot sauce event. And be like, fuck yeah, let's go. Which is, it's essentially the same thing, just a specific kind of vendor. So I'm talking with Fish, and I'm like, we should do more niche things. And he's like what? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, wait a second. What am I talking about? Of course I know my background. I had a comic book shop. I used to attend comic book shows and horror conventions. And like, we should do that. I know what that's like, at least from the vendor side. And we tried to run, this was so stupid of me, a comic convention 1 month followed by a horror convention the next month, which was really fucking dumb. The comic convention never coalesced. The horror convention happened. And I reached out to you because I'm like, I could use some extra hands. And when I pitched it to Sarah at Mayflower, she's like, I'm down with it, but you have to include America's Hometown Horror. I'm like, weird, I already talked to Mike.
That's correct. Yep.
So it fell into place, and it was, most of you guys are okay.
Fuck you, Andy.
Yep.
No, but it was just
fair.
it just fell into place, and like you were so into it, and yeah, it just gelled and came together. And so
Yeah.
this is year 2. Year 1, I feel like we learned a lot.
For sure.
Everyone's like, "Oh, how did it go?" I'm like, "Well, no one got hurt," and they're like, "That's a weird fucking thing." And I'm like, when you get that many people in one place,
It's
that's
a good way to describe it.
kind of like the important thing to think about.
Yeah.
And I was very pleased. Thank you, Matt. And so then, like, year 2 rolled around, and so now the whole Crypt Keeper tie-in. We have John Casser, the Crypt Keeper, will be there. and
Yep.
It's gonna be kind of bonkers.
I know. So I'll say
September 21st, Mayflower Brewery.
Yes.
1 to 7.
1 to 7 on
Go-
Saturday,
yeah.
September 21st.
Yep.
Also with the added new thing this year of the film festival, the Friday before on the 20th.
Yes.
2 different options if you depending on what you want to see. 2 different films, which we'll get to. But I feel like I have to. Yeah. So Andy, you had us on this show 4 years ago. You've always been great to us, and you've always presented us with opportunities. So when you came to me and said, "Hey, how'd you like to start a horror convention?" And I was like, "Abso-fucking-lutely. Let's go. Let's do it." I was very much enthused. And I could never imagine what it would turn into, because I feel like we're in year 2.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's just starting to
I know.
kinda come together.
I know. Last year was great, and we did a
I
whole
was
episode.
impressed with how much,
Yeah.
how great last year was, and how much we had to do. But it just it was so much fun.
Yeah, and I get some really, really sweet
great.
compliments. We had Matthew G. Taylor from Resident Evil was there, and his agent / girlfriend, I don't know exactly how you would label her, was so sweet. And she's like, I have to say, it was just so organized. And she's like, when we showed up to the hotel, the clerk at the desk had a folder for us, and with like maps and things to do and places to eat, and everything we could think of was in that folder. I'm like, fuck yeah, man! Like
Yeah.
I'm a psycho. What do you want?
Well, that's
Yeah.
all. That's all you. And I know that, in planning this event with you, you've clearly had some experience. And I tried to bring whatever creative ideas I could to the event, but you definitely are the logistics person, which I feel like was very helpful. And it just worked. It worked out well. The first year was great.
Yeah, it's weirdly like a Slumdog Millionaire kind of thing, where it's not necessarily just from my convention experience in the past, but it
helped.
It helps, but it's also like I managed a team of up to 30 people at Home Depot, and you learn how to fucking deal with people, and we do events with 40 plus vendors, and you realize how to kind of head off those bitches and complaints and issues before they happen. And so a lot of it's just, I'm fucking older than you guys. I've been doing
I
stupid
also
shit longer.
Dude, it helps though.
Yeah.
It's appreciated. So it
and
was a fun day.
when we were getting into the chaotic time of year last year, I very much appreciated
right where we're heading now.
Oh, I know. We're getting there. We're getting there for sure this year. So this
August is where I really hit the ground running in terms of, since I've been on the podcast too.
Yeah.
That's where I really am okay, hone in on movies that are coming out this year, get some ideas of reviews down. I last year and the last 2 years, I've been offering people personally curated Halloween horror lists.
Interesting.
They tell me, I did it off my Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, send me the kind of movies that you like, and I'll make a 1 through 31 movie a day list for you to watch.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
I offer that to people. I'm going to do it again this year because a lot of people liked it. It was fun.
Yeah.
So, but you get into this kind of the year, and you're just all right, it's fucking showtime, baby. This is what we fucking live for.
Well, that time of year last year, Andy was very good at, I am a very high-strung person in most circumstances.
No, you're not.
And Yeah, I know. Yeah, shut up. Andy was very level-headed. Like, I'd come to him and be like, this person did this, and he'd be like, who gives a fuck? Let them fucking do whatever the fuck they want. We're going to go on anyway. We're going to be fine. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, you know what? Okay, that's great.
And
You need that, though.
Yeah.
a lot of that is just from
That's experience.
Experience, just
Yep.
being like,
Yep.
you know, I tell you, I think, because I was very stressed out. I just hide it well.
I could never tell. Yeah,
I
you
remember
hit it. You hit it.
I
You hit it
asked
very
you,
well.
like, pulled you aside, and I was like, "How you doing?" And you're like, "I'm gonna lose my mind."
Yeah.
I was, like, "You're
Was that
fine."
during the event?
It was like right before, because
right.
I was like, "How are you doing?" Like genuinely, I asked you how you were doing. And you were
The
like, "I'm really stressed
I found like this moment of zen, and so the event was Saturday, and it was Friday night, and I'm like, the celebrities are in the air. There's nothing I can do. Like there's what I'm gonna do? Share the event one more time on my social media? Like there's nothing else I can do. It is set in stone. What is gonna happen is gonna happen. And I was just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go get drunk. You know, like it was just like,
Yep.
It was very, and at that point, then the next morning was a little hectic, but you know, setting up an event like that, like we were pretty much, other than the vendors, everything was set in place.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like getting the vendors in and set up, and then it was just like whoever shows up fucking shows up. And the only moment that I staggered a little bit was I looked, I'm like, why are the fucking cops here? And I'm like, oh, it's the Resident Evil police cruiser, you called them.
And then we hit a hiccup later in the evening with the.
Oh, the witches? Fuck them.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it. I was gonna wait and see if you were gonna say it first.
No,
but
no.
Yeah, they were miserable. They
Fuck
almost fucking blew
them.
my speaker out.
Dude,
Brand new fucking speaker, and I was like, "Listen, like you can't go nuts on this thing."
they were.
You Bette Midler wannabes.
They're doing it
See,
for four fucking people, me included.
I can say this because I'm not directly saying who they are. I have done dozens. I've run dozens of these vendor markets. I have been to hundreds of conventions. I have had 400 plus guests on the podcast, including one who walked out of a podcast interview.
Really?
Yeah.
I wanna hear the story.
The witches were the most fucking miserable divas I've ever had to deal with my entire
Yeah.
fucking life. If their house is burned down, I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah, they were.
They
were. What's the word I'm looking for?
Cunty. They were
All
cunty.
right, I was going to say that, but yeah, they were.
There you go. You
they
said it.
were
All right.
insufferable,
Dude,
It's
somebody,
okay to say if you say cunty. You just can't say cunt.
I feel like it's not as bad as it used to be.
No, it's like twat.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more accepted these days.
yeah.
You got to be careful in the
But
settings you say it.
Or if you
Yes,
just say
yeah.
you cunt.
I don't say that.
If you
That's
say it
one,
in the-
that's the only word I never
British
say that
style.
in front of my mom.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it
same,
in front of your mom
same.
either, but
Just don't
I don't
say
think
it.
your-
Just don't
is your
say
mom
it-
gonna listen
just
to
don't
this?
direct
No,
it
but
to
I'm
a
saying
woman
in
that's
general.
present. You're good.
No, but I think what you're
they're
saying.
the worst. I hate them so much.
I think
They're obnoxious.
The bitches,
given
not the witches.
given the fact that it was our first year last year, you know, I know that you know we helped. You planned it fantastically, and it went off without a hitch. And the day of, it was fantastic. And I know that Matthew G. Taylor and Leonora Shelfo from Scream
Yep.
both said to us at one point, I can't believe this is your first convention that you guys are running. This is so smooth. This is great. We're having a great experience, which was a great thing to hear.
Yeah.
And leading into year 2, that has given me more confidence in reaching out to people to be like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's how it was last year. We're doing it again this year. We want it to be bigger and better. Would you like to be a part of it? And I think we've been successful
Yeah.
in trying to get more people to come to it this year, and it's going to be bigger and better than it was
And
last
I gotta
year.
say, I think the September date is huge.
Oh,
It's a
Agreed.
big
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Huge.
We were
Huge.
doing it on
Huge.
Halloween
Weekend.
night?
Weekend
Weekend,
yeah.
before.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. I think it was like Monday and
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
tough thing to go up against.
Oh, it wasn't
You know?
smart at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was,
The,
Which,
but
you know, great
on
great
paper it made sense.
Great thing for casual people that are looking for something to do Halloween weekend, right? So, like, we did market it, I think, to an extent as that, right? Like, hey, a Halloween party, but a horror convention.
Did we hit our mark money wise?
So anyways,
I think the real reason we moved it
Cut
to
that
September
fish.
was because we all wanted to see Mike sweat so much more than he did in October.
no, it
I'm a
was
sweaty man. You don't want to see me sweat ever.
I sweat a
Yeah.
lot.
the
Sweaty bastard.
no, we lost money on that. But There were two events.
because of the witches.
Well, fuck them.
Fuck witches. Yeah.
I'll
lose
have
money to
friends that'll
make
be
money.
like, "Are you gonna have the
Guys,
witches
they're,
back?"
they're
And I'll
gonna
be
put
like,
a curse on us. This is bad juju
"Oh,
for us
oh
all.
no,
Oh no.
I'll never have sex with an unattractive lady
Yeah.
again.
I highly doubt. Sorry, you set yourself up for that.
But
Love you. I mean it. I really do.
our standing rule is like if you're gonna trash them on any of our podcasts, you say like this person, this place. If I could remember their fucking names, I would say it. Like that's how much I hate them.
I don't remember the name.
I don't either.
think
It's probably a
good
good
for
thing.
us.
Yeah,
It was the other.
anyways.
Yeah, there was multiple witch groups.
Probably find it,
Um,
but it's okay.
So I could definitely look it up, but I'm not gonna just for my own mental
Just,
well-being.
we'll just let it lie.
Anyways,
I have their home address in the GPS. You guys
Let's,
are
I'll
like,
fucking
oh,
flip
let's
this table
go,
right
let's
now.
go.
So we had two events last year that were kind of like big deals. Is we did the Buzzards Bay Farmers Market, and then we did the horror convention. Neither made money, and the Buzzards Bay Farmers Market, it irritates me because I'm like, I don't understand why. The horror convention, I'm like, oh, we way undercharged at the door. You know, it got pushed out more as a thing to do for Halloween and not a horror fan thing. Like, I know how to fix that.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
And
okay.
there were expenses to be paid.
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah.
So,
For sure. Yep.
So it was more just like, I know how to fix the horror convention. The farmer's market, I'm like, it's a fucking mystery. So, like, I hated losing that money because I don't understand what went wrong. The horror convention, I'm like, okay, we lost money, but I know how to make it not lose money this year.
Yeah, because also, too, a year in, now you're going to get better sponsorships, more sponsorships.
More
know-
people.
Yeah.
People will come
Which
back.
we have.
John
Dude,
Kassir,
yeah,
I'm
that's what I'm saying,
excited.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've fixed it for this year. I think we have.
We charged $5 to get in last year.
$5. Dude,
Steal.
you can get a thing of Zins for $5. and
The
those are
beers
terrible.
were more expensive.
Yeah.
The
$20 minimum
what is
for
the ticket
anything.
price this year? 15.
$25.
25,
Yeah.
25 general admission this year.
Yep.
Which obviously upcharge from last year, but I feel like when you think about what you're actually getting, because I put together like a write-up of what actually the event entails this year, and for $25, it's well worth.
Well, yeah, because you
Yes.
know you go to these type of things. You like these nerdy things. You go to them, so you know what $25 is worth.
Dude, I feel like there's people that were there last year that saw the Ghostbusters car, and you'd be like, "Oh, it's $25 over to go get a picture over there with a Ghostbusters
100%
car."
do that.
They'd be like, "Okay, here's my $20." You know,
Yeah, $5, you're like, oh god.
Every time I play at Mayflower, at least one or two people go up and they take a picture of the poster.
Yeah.
For the event.
we just got larger ones too. I don't know if you saw
Sweet.
that. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yep, I have some extras.
I am
in
going
my
to
car.
say I'm bringing my Tales from the Crypt DVD. I have every episode on DVD.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it, and I want it signed.
Yep, same. I also have a Tales from the Crypt poster that I'm gonna ask John to sign. So
I'm gonna get I am getting a poster. I don't know if there's a Scream poster over there that's signed by Leonora.
I-
Over
I-
here, there's a.
I feel like we have to continue here because I feel like
Oh shit!
we have severely undersold how huge of a get John Kassir is.
I have on my phone a video of the digital drawing of the exclusive John Kassir Crypt Keeper action figure that will be available at Hometown Haunts and Haunts.
Okay, you're gonna show that to us.
I want one.
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy.
They're gonna be limited.
If you grew
I'm
up in the
sure.
80s or the 90s and you watched Tales from the Crypt, this guy is an icon.
Oh yeah,
And the fact that, like, I still, like, I don't think it's hit me personally that he's going to be there. If I'm the one picking him up from the hotel, like, I picked up
pick
Matthew
him
and
up.
Leonora last year, like, I will pick him up again. I was blown away last year at how nice they both were, but, like, John is a different level of, no offense to Leonora and Matthew. That's John
yeah,
is.
for sure. And I don't think they're gonna take offense. to
No,
that.
they wouldn't.
Yeah.
They wouldn't. But, like, that's huge.
He's an icon.
You grow up on that.
Yeah.
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 It's the
of
difference
course.
between getting Freddy Krueger and someone that Freddy Krueger killed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Unless it was Patricia Arquette.
well, yeah, or Johnny
Yeah.
Depp.
Yeah.
So I mean, not only having him, but in the fact that we also added on the film festival for this year,
Yep.
which I feel like is something that we also like. So like as of this recording, we're like this week we're gonna put out more stuff on social media about it, right? But like we're doing this, and we got two huge, I think, films for this between Pennywise, The Story of It, the documentary, which won the 2023 Fangoria Chainsaw Award for Best Documentary Feature. We're going to show that. We're going to have John Campopiano, who directed and wrote the film.
We're gonna have
And he also is
Tim
going to
Curry's screen-worn
And
Pennywise
he's going to
costume.
bring Tim Curry's screen-worn Pennywise costume from the 1990 miniseries. And John's also going to show his other short feature, Snapper, I believe it's called.
Yep.
The unmade turtle murdering movie.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Wasn't that my idea?
I know. Andrew, it's funny because Andrew's always had this idea for this movie called Tortuga Takeover, where a turtle kills everybody. But
A tortoise.
yeah, they had it first, apparently, Andrew. So we have that coming.
Disguised as a rock and just jumps
John,
up.
John has been kind enough to show his movie at Sour Not Sorry Brewing. And then we also have the WNUF Halloween special, which I have to say, this was me championing this one. And Chris LaMartina and his wife, Melissa, who goes by the stage name Aurora Borealis, is going to be coming. They're going to be showing that movie at the John Carver Inn. I could not be more excited. I think the film festival is a huge ad for this.
There's a
that's it.
potential that their band may be playing too.
Yes, Beach
So
Creeper.
That's
Yep.
kind of
the
after
ability-
party is kind
Oh,
of
at New World?
At
the
New
after
World.
party, yeah.
Oh, that's
The after party is, let's
I'll
say,
be present this year, so.
in
Yeah, that's
I
all right.
won't make that guarantee.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not drinking Mayflower
But-
beer anymore.
but,
not that there's anything wrong with it. But
I just
Well, that day you'll be.
I was gonna say before you go, like
Yeah.
to
Double
be
IPAs.
candid,
I wasn't.
I think
Leisure mode.
You just gotta eat.
just turning this from a 1-day event
Yeah.
into a multiple day event or a 2-day event
Yeah.
really is a huge thing that will draw people. And who knows, maybe there'll be people that come, stay overnight, book a hotel somewhere, hopefully at the John Carver or somewhere local. And,
I hope
like,
everybody
it's just
comes.
huge. It's
And,
just,
I mean,
it's great.
and that's the whole thing is like ideally, going in the future, whether it's next year or years following, is we continue with movies Friday night, Saturday convention, Sunday like a shorter convention.
yeah.
Put the celebrities on the plane, fly them out, kind of thing. And to your eat, that I heard someone say you should eat something.
Oh,
I also experienced that problem. Don't worry, we
Same.
have 2 food trucks coming this year
Yeah,
because
we
our
all
food
had that
truck ran
problem
out.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
That was
funny.
one of the big issues.
I think, the most sober person at the after party. And
You were there?
yeah. That plays
No shit.
perfectly to my point.
Quickly, I think you were there quickly, and you bounced,
No, I was
right?
there. I was there
Pretty
for
quick.
most of the
Yeah.
night.
You gotta
Yeah,
go.
I
You kind of were hanging, and then you might have fell off a little bit. Andy, you were occupied.
I had to go.
Andrew was annihilated. And we were trying to call him an Uber for about 45 minutes, and he couldn't figure out how
Yeah.
to get his credit card information into his phone.
Well, I have to say, can I tell the story on here? I mean, I don't think Leonora.
don't-
No,
All right,
not
okay.
not
Okay,
the one,
yeah,
not the
all
one
right.
you're thinking.
Okay,
of.
all right, go on.
So I remember when we were getting into New World.
Yeah.
So we met up with Leonora on the way to New World, and this is when she found out on the way that Matthew Perry had died.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
that.
that was
He
it,
died that day, and she was upset because she knew him. And that was like a big deal because obviously, he was in Friends, he's been in a bunch of other stuff. Type of guy, it seemed like he had a lot of problems off screen, but well respected, well regarded actor.
Funny-
and that was
funny guy.
funny guy.
He was in,
That was sad.
Northwest Passage with Chris Farley.
And I remember we were standing in we were not standing in line, but we were waiting to get into New World, and she was calling I think she called Skeet Ulrich outside of New World, being like, "Can you believe Matthew's dead?" And I was standing there, I was like, "This is fucking
Can I talk to
absolutely
him?
wild."
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. Like,
And then we went inside and we
Yeah.
did a tequila shot with Leonora and a bunch of us, and that's when Andrew died
That
and
was
had to
when I
leave.
was done.
but it's so weird when you're talking to someone and they're like, "Oh, hang on a second, I have to text Bam Margera."
Yes.
And you're like,
Yep.
"What?"
She did also know
Yeah.
Bam. That's right. She
Yeah.
knew Bam very well.
Yeah.
Really?
Hope
Yeah.
he's doing okay.
That's so
I think
Yeah.
he's sober now.
Yeah.
Good for him. Yep.
So, the fun story that I have been told, I was going to say remember, but I've been told, is Killian was tending bar that night, and she's a friend of the show and a friend of mine, and had decided that I had had enough to drink.
Shut you off?
I'll tell you what I've had.
So, no. Anytime, Sarah shut me off one time, and I can tell you
no.
that story. I've only been shut off twice, and those are
I've
the
been
two
shut
times.
off one time at a bar in Plymouth. Well, in general, actually.
And I've never been upset because
It
I'm
was my
always like, you
22nd
guys can
birthday.
shut me off anytime you want. Like, I get it. And so I went up and I'm like, I'll take a shot of tequila and a White Claw. And they went, how about just the White Claw? And I went, okay. So they gave me a glass of water and the White Claw. And I went over to the person who I ordered those for. And I handed them the water. I'm like, they wouldn't give me your shot of tequila. And I drank my White Claw. And Kinley was like, God damn it.
That's not what I meant to do.
Yeah.
Gotta say too, a huge part of that after party last year was Bayside High. They fucking rocked, and
Yeah.
I'm sad to
Yep,
hear that
sad
they're
to-
not going to be
yeah,
playing this year.
So
Yeah.
we're working
they were
on...
fucking awesome.
Yeah. Very, very sad to see them go.
Hopefully, Beach Creeper fills that void.
Hopefully,
Along
I
with
would
some
love
other
for that
bands.
to
Yeah,
happen.
that'd be really cool.
And there's some other possibilities. So
Okay.
we can talk off
More
air
to
because
come.
it is
More to come.
super not
Yep.
like...
If I might have some ideas too, if possible, with who could join.
Is it one Matthew Audette playing?
Nope.
music?
I'm not, That's a long day. No, thank you.
But I have friends that have some like punk bands and stuff like that.
Okay.
That might
Yeah,
kinda
yeah, for
be
sure.
The fit.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So where can people go to find out about America's Hometown Horror? Do all the...
Do the mic.
Do your
Do
intro.
the mic
Do
thing,
the
yeah.
straight guy thing.
Do you
So-
remember it off the top of your head?
Yeah, I would say that basically wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere else. We do have a website, which is apod.com. We do have
Wait, it's what?
a
Oh, I got... All right. Okay. No.
Real monsters.
ahhpod.com.
Okay.
We do have a blog on there that we unfortunately infrequently update. We've been trying to be better about that, but sometimes life gets in the way. But I would say, if you want to hear more of us, if you like this show, just listen to our show and support us. Give us a review, give us a subscribe. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on YouTube. Just search for America's Hometown Horror. You
hate
will
that he says
find
X.
us. We're on Twitter, Andy.
you go.
Just say X.
Pardon me. Yeah, and we love to hear from people that listen to the show. It's it kind of gives us a little bit of reinvigoration whenever we hear someone that likes the show. So we're always open to whatever people that listen to the show have to say, and that's what I would say about us. That's where you can find us. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
Do you want
wherever
to
else.
Shauna?
Yes, that's a very good point.
Skywheel.
God, I feel like such an asshole that I didn't say this earlier.
Okay.
So about a year ago, a good friend of ours, Sean O'Laughlin from Skywheel Media, came on board and offered to produce our show and do all the audio and music production. He's been doing a fantastic job. We sound better than we ever have before. He does all of it for us, and he makes us sound great. Because God knows we don't sound very good on our own. So he does a great job making us sound like liquid gold, and we're super thankful to have Shauno, and super thankful to have anyone that listens to us. I mean, it's a hobby that I really like to do, and I know Matt and Andrew do too. I won't speak for you guys. Speak up if you want to, but yeah,
I'm just happy
it's a lot
to
of
be
fun.
here.
I hate it.
I hate it like
hate it.
poison. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's where we are, and yeah, we'll be here talking about horror to anyone that wants to listen.
And they'll also be at the Hometown Haunts and Hops, September 21st at the Mayflower Brewery, and recording live. I don't know what the time frame is yet. That hasn't been set in stone. But you can get your tickets. Go to Inebri-art.com, search for Hometown Haunts and Hops. You'll find it. And that's pretty much
Is
it.
there also a potential for those same said people to be doing a trivia night, perhaps before that?
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
did we-
so yes, we did.
Are we doing
We
one
did.
the day of again, too?
I was like, did we
Yes,
imagine
You're
that?
so
doing one there.
I can speak to that. So we are doing.
I'm gonna come up with the hardest questions ever.
Oh, boy.
Let me
Ask me more about Clive Barker.
So
Sorry.
in terms of trivia,
Bra size.
leading up to the event, so Haunts and Hops is going to be on September 21st. We are doing horror trivia live from Mayflower Brewing Company on Thursday, September 19th,
So it's like the Thursday before.
the Thursday before the event, and
Oh,
we're
it's
also
a whole thing now, because
Yep.
that'll be the Thursday. The Friday will be the horror movies downtown.
Correct.
It's a whole...
And then we're going to be doing trivia the day of the event as well. So we have trivia on Thursday and on Saturday of the event.
Gotta start coming up with some questions.
So yeah,
now.
like you said, Andy, technically it is a 3-day event. So you can come to Mayflower Thursday and then Saturday.
Maybe
and
you can
go
sleep
downtown
upstairs.
On
I doubt
I was
it.
gonna say bring a sleeping bag.
I doubt
camp
it.
out somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and it's a lot of fun. We're excited.
Yeah,
It's coming up fast. I can't wait.
Dude, so fast.
The
I'm starting to
week
get
after I
a
turned
little
30.
trickles in my
so-
pants. So
You little boy. God damn you, Matt. I always forget how much younger Matt
I'm
is.
gonna be a
than me
new
and
man.
Andrew.
I'll be all professional.
Doubtful.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I doubt it. Dean's Home Furniture. I doubt,
I doubt it.
All right, go ahead, Andy.
All right, that's it. I'm sick of these guys. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you guys again next week.
Thanks for having us, Andy.
Bye. Yeah, thanks.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. So thanks again for listening.